Last Friday night I was on the dance floor doing the cha-cha when this young man asked me, "Ma'am, don't you get tired?" I told him, "Honey, I spend 12 hours a week hooked up to a machine that cleans my blood. Dancing for 3 hours is the easy part. Let me tell you how I got here. My name is Rosa Martinez and I'm 58 years old. I live in Phoenix, Arizona with my husband Carlos and our dog Pee-Pee. 5 years ago, if someone told me I'd be on dialysis, I would have laughed. I was the healthiest woman in my neighbourhood. I walked 5 miles every morning. I cooked fresh meals from scratch. I never missed my Friday night salsa dancing at Miguel's Community Centre. Dancing was my life. Carlos and I met at a dance class 30 years ago. He stepped on my feet during our first dance. I stepped on his ego when I told him he needed more practice. We've been dancing together ever since. 3 times a week we went to different dance halls around Phoenix, salsa on Monday, ballroom on Wednesday, Latin fusion on Friday. Life was good. Then came the morning I couldn't get out of bed. It was a Tuesday in March 2019. I woke up feeling like a truck had hit me. My legs were swollen like balloons. My face looked like a chipmunk. Carlos took one look at me and said, "We're going to the hospital." I tried to argue, but I could barely stand up. At the emergency room, they ran all kinds of tests: blood work, urine tests, ultrasounds. The doctor, a serious man named Dr. Peterson, came back with results that changed everything. "Mrs. Martinez," he said, "your kidneys are failing. We need to start you on dialysis immediately." I stared at him like he was speaking Chinese. Dialysis. That was for old sick people. I was Rosa who danced 3 nights a week. I was Rosa who could cha-cha for hours without getting tired. There must be a mistake, I told him, but there was no mistake. My creatinine levels, whatever those are, were sky high. My kidneys were working at about 15%. "How long do I have?" I asked, thinking the worst. "Mrs. Martinez, with dialysis, people live normal lives for many years, but you'll need treatment 3 times a week, 4 hours each session. 3 times a week, 4 hours each. That was 12 hours a week sitting in a chair, hooked up to a machine. 12 hours I could have spent dancing. The first few months were the hardest. I went to the dialysis centre on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Each session left me exhausted. The machine would take out my blood, clean it and put it back in. It sounds simple, but it made me feel like I'd run a marathon. After each treatment, I'd go home and sleep for hours. Carlos would make dinner and bring it to me in bed. "Rest, mi amor," he'd say. "Dancing can wait." But I didn't want dancing to wait. Dancing was who I was. Without dancing, I was just a sick woman in a hospital gown. The other patients at the dialysis centre looked so tired, so defeated. They'd sleep during treatment or watch TV with blank stares. I understood why. Dialysis makes you feel like your energy has been sucked out, but after 3 months I made a decision. I was not going to let this machine control my life. I was going back to dancing. Carlos thought I was crazy. "Rosa, you can barely walk after dialysis," he said. "How can you dance?" "I'll find a way," I told him, and I did. I started small. Instead of going dancing the same day as dialysis, I'd go the day after. Thursday became my new Friday. I'd have dialysis on Wednesday, rest on Wednesday night, then dance on Thursday. The first time back on the dance floor was magical. Carlos and I slow danced to Besame Mucho. I was rusty and my legs felt heavy, but I was dancing again. I was Rosa again. The other dancers at Miguel's Community Centre were shocked to see me. Some people had heard about my kidney problems. "Rosa, should you be doing this?" asked Maria, my dance partner for ladies' nights. "If I don't do this, what's the point of staying alive?" I told her. That shut her up. Slowly, I built up my strength. One song became 2 songs. 2 songs became a full hour. By 6 months, I was dancing for 2 hours straight. Not the same as before my diagnosis, but pretty good for someone whose blood gets cleaned by a machine 3 times a week. The nurses at the dialysis centre couldn't believe it. "Mrs. Martinez, what's your secret?" asked Nurse Linda. "I have something to look forward to," I told her. "Every Wednesday I know that Friday night I'll be dancing." That gave me strength to get through the treatment. It wasn't always easy though. Some days the dialysis would hit me harder than others. My blood pressure would drop and I'd feel dizzy for hours. Those nights I'd show up to the dance hall and just sit. I'd watch other people dance and move my feet under the table. Carlos would offer to take me home, but I always said no. "I'm still here," I'd tell him. "That's what matters." The hardest part wasn't the physical stuff. It was dealing with other people's pity. When I'd tell new people about my dialysis, their faces would change. They'd get that sad, sorry look. "Oh, you poor thing," they'd say. I hated that. I'm not a poor thing. I'm a woman who happens to need help with her kidneys. I'm also a woman who can salsa better than most people half my age. That's when I started being more open about my situation. Instead of hiding my dialysis schedule, I talked about it. "I can't dance Monday nights because that's my dialysis night," I'd tell people, "but Friday nights I'm all yours." Some people were uncomfortable with my honesty. They didn't know how to react when I talked about being hooked up to a machine, but most people appreciated it. They saw that I wasn't asking for pity. I was just being real about my life. Now, 5 years later, I have my routine down to a science. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dialysis from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tuesday, Thursday, rest and prepare. Friday night, dance like my life depends on it. Because in a way it does. Dancing keeps me connected to who I was before dialysis. It reminds me that I'm more than my medical condition. When I'm on that dance floor, moving to the music, I forget about machines and needles and blood tests. I'm just Rosa, dancing with Carlos like we did 30 years ago. Last month, a new patient started dialysis on the same schedule as me. Her name is Betty and she's about my age. She was so depressed during her first few sessions. "I feel like my life is over," she told me. I looked at her and said, "Honey, your life isn't over. It's just different now." I told her about my Friday night dancing. She didn't believe me at first, so I showed her videos on my phone. There I was, spinning and dipping and laughing with Carlos. "That's really you?" she asked. "Every Friday night," I told her. Now Betty comes to watch me dance sometimes. She hasn't joined in yet, but she says she's thinking about it. "Maybe I could try line dancing," she said last week. Progress. I'm not going to lie to you. Dialysis is hard. Some days I don't want to get up and go to the centre. Some days I feel frustrated that I have to plan my whole life around a machine, but then Friday comes around and I put on my dancing shoes. I do my hair and put on lipstick. Carlos picks out his best shirt and we drive to Miguel's community centre. When that music starts playing and I take Carlos's hand, everything else fades away. The dialysis, the medical bills, the worry about the future, gone. There's just me, Carlos, and the rhythm. That's where I feel most like myself. That's where I remember that I'm still Rosa Martinez. I may need help with my kidneys, but I can still move my hips. I may be hooked up to a machine 3 times a week, but Friday nights belong to me. If you're listening and you're going through something similar, here's what I want you to know. Don't let your medical condition become your whole identity. Yes, you have to deal with it. Yes, it changes things, but it doesn't have to change who you are at your core. Find your Friday night dancing. Find that thing that makes you feel like you again. Maybe it's not dancing, maybe it's painting or gardening or playing cards with friends. Whatever it is, don't give it up. Make time for it, even if you have to rearrange everything else. That's what keeps you human. That's what keeps you you. This Friday, Carlos and I will be back on the dance floor. We'll dance to our favourite songs and laugh at our mistakes. I'll probably get tired after 2 hours instead of 3. But I'll be there, moving to the music, proving to myself once again that dialysis doesn't define me. Dancing does. If you enjoyed my story today, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real stories from people who refuse to let life knock them down. Until next time, this is Rosa saying keep dancing, keep fighting, and keep being yourselves. Thank you for listening to my story.